Hi scholars, Mrs. Coleman here with our next read aloud about the American Revolution. Today we are learning all about the Boston Tea Party, Some of you may have heard of the Boston Tea Party before now. Remember to keep those thoughts in your mind as we move forward because that's really great background knowledge you can talk to mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa, or an aunt or an uncle about, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. A taxing time, the Boston Tea Party. We're going to go over our objective. We'll have the vocabulary words, the read aloud, check our understanding, and I'll walk you through how the packet pages are supposed to look, okay? Objective, we learn all about it. I can describe the Boston Tea Party and how the British colonists felt about being taxed. So today we'll be able to describe the Boston Tea Party and how the British colonies felt about being taxed. Vocabulary words, here we go. The first word we need to know for today is goods. Goods are things that can be traded, bought, or sold. For example, cow's milk is one of the goods often sold at market. The next word we need to know is harbor. A harbor is a protected body of water where ships can be left. New York City is known for its enormous harbor. Look at how big that harbor is. Our next word is representatives. That one's a bit big. I'm going to say it a couple more times. The way we say this word is representatives. One more time. Representatives. Representatives are people chosen to speak or act on behalf of a larger group. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of many representatives to the United States Congress. So today we have representatives in our government, even to this moment, okay? Representative. So when you think about someone elected to represent someone, that's a representative. Our next word is revolted. Revolted means rebelled, rose up against. The cat revolted against being given a bath. Our next word is taxes. Taxes are money people pay to a government for services. The government collects taxes to pay for new roads. All right, that means you're getting ready for a read aloud. So I want you to think about, as we read, those words we just heard about. Taxes, we heard about representatives, and we heard about goods. And I want you to think about all of these things together, okay? Representatives, taxes, and goods. These three things are going to play a huge part in today's read aloud. All right, so here we go. For a long time, many colonists were proud to be British citizens, ruled by the King of Great Britain. But then things began to change. The King and the British Parliament had spent a lot of money helping to set up and protect the colonies. To help pay for these expenses, Parliament decided to make the colonies pay taxes to Great Britain. Taxes are extra money people pay when they buy certain things. For example, today we may pay taxes when we buy clothes at a department store, food in a restaurant, or gasoline for the car. Depending on the state where you live, you might have to pay a $1 or $2 more for your new shirt than what's the price that's listed on the tag, or a few extra cents for your sandwich than the price on the menu. But these stores don't keep the extra money. They must give the extra money or taxes to the government. These days, we vote and elect representatives or people to represent us in government. These people make decisions on how to best spend taxes to provide public services that benefit all the people who live here. The government uses the taxes to help pay for things that everybody needs, like schools, transportation, roads, water and garbage services, police and fire protection, and other public services. So today, we get to vote and decide on the people who decide what happens with our tax money. What does it get spent on? That's what we do today. We elect the people who decide what happens with the taxes, okay? But back in the time when the colonies were first established, the people who lived in the colonies were not permitted to vote and elect representatives or people to represent them in the British Parliament all the way on the other side of the ocean. This room is one of the rooms in Great Britain in which the British Parliament met. So many people who lived in the American colonies in the 1700s felt that it was unfair for the British king to ask them to pay taxes. The colonists were asked to pay extra for stamps, sugar, and other things. Because the colonists could not voice their opinions to the British government through representatives, why, they wondered, should they have to pay taxes? It just didn't seem fair to them. So the colonists are not angry about paying taxes. They're not angry about paying taxes. They're angry because they don't get to vote for the people who decide what happens with the taxes. They're not angry about paying taxes. They're angry because they don't have a voice in who decides what happens with the taxes. All over the colonies, people grew more and more angry. But it was in the colony of Massachusetts that tempers flared the most. King George of Great Britain sent troops to try to keep the peace in Boston, but it did not help very much. The people in the colony of Massachusetts were really mad about paying taxes when they were not allowed to vote for the people who decided what those taxes should be. Then in 1773, the British Parliament did something that the colonists could not stand. They passed a law called the Tea Act and tried to force the colonists to buy tea from one British company only, charging a large tax for the tea. The colonists did not think it was fair to force them to pay more for tea, and they refused to pay taxes on tea, one of their favorite drinks. They began sending shiploads of tea back to Britain and ordering tea from the Dutch Republic instead. The Dutch Republic was the name of the country that we know as the Netherlands today. This made the king even angrier. He told them they could not send any more tea back to Great Britain without paying the tax. Because of this, the colonists of Massachusetts revolted or rose up against the British king. They decided they would not accept the king's decision. In order to avoid paying taxes on the tea, the colonists ordered tea from the Dutch Republic. So they got mad and they started to rise up. Shiploads of British tea continued to enter the port of Boston, Massachusetts. A port is a place on the coast where ships load and unload goods. On a December night in 1773, a group of men known as the Sons of Liberty planned a most unusual tea party. Think about the kinds of tea parties you might be having right now at home. Now listen and hear if this is the same kind of tea party that the Sons of Liberty are going to have. They smeared their faces with soot, grease, and streaks of red paint. They stuck feathers in their hair, disguised as Mohawk Native Americans, a common symbol of freedom at the time. They made their way down to the harbor or the water along the coast. Climbing aboard 3 British ships, they dumped 342 chests of valuable tea into the Boston Harbor, excuse me. This meant that the British lost tea and money. This event became known as the Boston Tea Party. Go ahead and just answer real quick to the computer or the tablet or the phone. Is this the kind of tea party you have at home, throwing tea into the harbor? No, it's really not. This is a totally different kind of tea party. Furious, King George of Great Britain closed the port of Boston, one of the American colony's most important ports. He told them that they would not receive any more goods from Britain until they paid for the tea that they had destroyed. With no supplies coming from Great Britain, there was nothing for the colonists to sell in their shops, so people had to close their shops. This is a shop owned by a man named Paul Revere. You will hear more about Paul Revere in the next read aloud. Many people lost their jobs. Food was scarce. Colonists from up and down the East Coast helped out, sending money and supplies to Massachusetts. What were the colonists to do? What should they say to the king? The people of Boston began to talk of war against Great Britain and its king, but other colonists warned them not to act so quickly. Wait a bit, they suggested. It is never a good idea to fight back without cooling off first. So Boston and all of Massachusetts are like, let's go, let's fight this king, we're done, it's war. And all the other colonies are like, calm down, take a breath, we're not there yet. So let's see what happens next. All 13 colonies decided to come up with a plan together. They held a big meeting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, about midway between the farthest New England colonies and the farthest southern colonies. Each colony elected representatives to attend this meeting. It wasn't possible for all colonists to attend the meeting, so each colony sent a few people to speak for them. It was the first time that representatives from all the colonies, except Georgia, met together in one place. They called themselves the Continental Congress. Leaders in the colonies were divided. Some remained loyal or faithful to Great Britain and the king. They were called Loyalists. After all, they said, we are British too. Others were beginning to think of themselves not as British citizens, but as Americans. They wanted to rule themselves instead of being ruled by a faraway king. These people were called patriots. So in this Congress, there's two groups. The Loyalists, who want to stay loyal to Great Britain and the king, and the patriots, who want to break off and form their own country. The Loyalists are loyal to the king. The patriots want to go their own way. Let's see what they do next. If you recognize any of the men in this picture, go ahead and shout out who you recognize. Who do you recognize? Oh, wow. Okay. Let's hear more about what role these men played at the First Continental Congress. Members of the Continental Congress included George Washington from Virginia, a young army commander who had helped protect the colonies. Benjamin Franklin was there too, a Philadelphia inventor known for his ability to get people to work together. Sounds like a good man to have at a meeting. Though unable to attend, Thomas Jefferson, known as an excellent writer, was elected as a representative from Virginia as well. At that First Continental Congress, the representatives decided to approach the king in a friendly way. They sent him a letter telling him that they wanted to work things out peacefully without any fighting. They asked the British Parliament to stop making rules or laws for them. We feel that we should create our own laws since we are not able to vote for laws in Parliament, they said. In the meantime, they waited for an answer from the king. The colonists decided to stop selling goods to Great Britain and to stop buying goods from Great Britain. So they decided to send a letter telling the king and Parliament, stop making laws, stop making rules, we'll make our own rules, we'll still be British citizens. And then while they're waiting for the reply, they stop buying British goods and stop selling British goods to the British. So everyone is starting to not feel very good about this whole situation. This is the building in Philadelphia where the representatives met. At the end of the meeting, the colonists were still split in their opinions about what to do. The Loyalists hoped the king would grant their requests, letting them make their own laws while still remaining British. The Patriots kept things stirred up, talking of going to war and breaking away from Britain altogether. So the Loyalists and the Patriots did not agree on what to do. The Loyalists were loyal to Great Britain and the king. The Patriots wanted to make their own laws. It was not a calm time. You know what that means? It means our read aloud for today is over. So time for some check my understanding questions that you can talk to mom, dad, grandpa, brother, sister about. And then I'll walk you through the packet pages real quick, okay? Here we go. Check my understanding. Let's see. What are taxes and what are they used for? What are taxes and what are they used for? I want you can shout it out at the screen, or you can talk about it with a partner. You've got about 15 seconds. 14, 13, 12, 11. All right, next question. What is a representative? What is a representative? What is a representative? Have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, have someone text me what a representative is so I don't forget, okay? Why did the king and British Parliament decided to tax the British colonies in America? That was all the way at the beginning. If you want to rewind the video to the start of the read aloud, it has the explanation for why the king and British Parliament decided to tax the British colonies in America, okay? All right. How did the colonists feel about being taxed? Here's your packet pages. These were emailed out. Again, if you can print these out and write on the paper itself, perfect, wonderful, amazing, please do. If you're unable to, don't worry about it. Write it on a blank piece of paper as best you can, okay? Now, here's where I get excited, because if mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, someone sends me a picture of your writing, I'll feature it in upcoming slides. I'll put in a section that says some of the best scholar answers, and you might see your answer in one of these videos. So go ahead, still do this work, still do your best work with your best penmanship, because I'll be reading a picture and I can't wait to share some of these answers out, okay? So how did the colonists feel about being taxed? You're going to circle if they felt happy, sad, or angry. Then you're going to write why. Why did they feel that way? We need a restate. They felt because They felt because This is a good point to pause your video to make sure you have your restate correct and to make sure you're writing your answers. Also, again, if you want to rewind to go back to some vocabulary words, right, you can do that, okay? So this is one packet page you're doing for today. How did they feel and why did they feel that way? Next page. What was the Boston Tea Party? What was the Boston Tea Party? Now, I know you guys can set up this restate on your own. I know you know to cross off those first two question words, to circle that word the, so you know to capitalize it, to cross off your question mark, and to write the Boston Tea Party was, and then explain what they did. If you want to go back in the video to the picture of the Boston Tea Party, that might really help you form your answers about what the colonists were doing, okay? And the Boston Tea Party should give you a hint about how they felt about those taxes, all right? And that's it for today. That's it for today. So finish your packet page about how they felt about being taxed. Have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa send me a picture. I will not include any names in the PowerPoints or in the videos, but send me a picture, and I'm looking forward to upcoming presentations, adding a slide that says Miss Colma's favorite scholar answers, okay? So keep doing your work. I'll be texting with mom and dad on the regular. I hope you all are well and healthy.